a little bit about me. I am a manager of plumbing facility services at Colorado Association. As you can see, we're slowly below Kern right there. My job entails handicapping and course rating for the most part. But a little bit about me, I'm a Colorado native, 4th generation. I grew up in Westminster. Kelly Hills has a place in my heart forever and always. That's the place where I grew up. Following that, I played collegiate at WHS University for 4 years, graduated, was an intern for the CGA back in 2019, and now I'm back full time.
Yes, we appreciate her work so far. She is brand new, and this is her first presentation. So take it easy on her, okay? Yes, you can say that. And then as for me, if you haven't met me before, please do so. I encourage you all. I like to always put a name to a face. My name is Guereca, and I'm the Managing Director of Facility Services. What does that mean exactly? Well, let's just say I do a little bit of everything. So my primary job is course rating and handicapping. So yeah, course rating questions, handicap questions, those usually come to me. They will start going to Maddie sometimes, but for the most part, they'll talk to me. Okay. As Maddie is, I'm also a Colorado native. Went to high school at East High School, not too far away. These things, let's go. I was a scholar as well, so I graduated from CU Boulder back in 2013 and completed with an integrated physiology degree. I did not plan to be here today, but here I am. It's like it happened. Presenting for you. So, and I started out as an intern with the Colorado Women's Golf Association. So I've seen faces here from way back then, and they like me so much. Here I am 7 years later, so that's good. It's a pleasure to see you all today. And we do have some great material for you, although if you've taken some handicaps so far, this may or may not be a repeat. And if you would like to come up here and teach this class, please feel free. And it's always a good sign whenever you class before we get started. So that's always good. Okay. Go ahead.
Already started. So, our agenda for today. You guys, what was that? Can you hear me now? Wonderful. Thank you for calling me out. Okay. Agenda changes, a few things. So we have changes for 2024. Just a little overview there. We're going to walk through getting started. If you do not have a handicap, this is kind of where that comes in. Players, we have players that do not have a handicap. Good guide for them. What to do before a round, during a round, and after a round. So we cover all 3 points there. And then some homework. Because we have homework on a Saturday.
You guys didn't know you did homework today. And then if you want to, the majority of this session will be catered to this little book right here. It's kind of a high-level overview of the WHS. And the changes that happened in 2024 that will be here for as long as I know, at least the next 4 years.
Changes for 2024. So a few things here that we will cover. The scores used when holes not played. Some good changes there. Treatment of 9-hole scores. How many ladies here are part of a 9-hole league? Wonderful. We got some fun stuff for you. After that, we're going to talk a little about the guidance on use of allowances. And then 2 little things down here that we won't hit too much on. Handicap review of reporting tools and new minimum length of golf courses.
Yes. And then we don't have too much material on this, but just so you guys know, the minimum length used to be 1,500 yards for 9 holes, 3,000 for 18. It is now been cut in half. So now the new minimum length to have a course rating is 750 yards for 9 and 1,500 yards for 18. Okay. So that means par 3 courses can and will be rated if they want it. Okay. Before she gets started, unfortunately, as much as we love questions, we will not be taking questions during the session. If you have any questions, please feel free to come see us afterwards, and we'll be more than happy to answer them in each time. Okay? Cool. Anyway.
Getting started. So, The world handicap system, you can see blue here of the world. Do you ladies know where all the world handicap system is active or able to be participated with? Anyone? The world, yes. We are up to 124 countries throughout the world. And the main reason for making it a worldwide procedure is to enable as many golfers the possibility, the opportunity to obtain and maintain a handicap index. Use their handicap index on any golf course that is rated and sloped, but it can be around the world. So if you want to go play some course in the middle of Russia and it's rated, go for it. You have to apply it to your handicap and go from there. And the other portion will be to compete or play recreationally with anyone else on a fair basis. So it's supposed to be world and company from beginners to scratch golfers. Anyone is able to have a handicap index. So as we move on, so the minimum scores to obtain a handicap index. So you have to have 54 holes in total. It can be made up of 9-hole scores or 18-hole scores. There's no time limit on completing those scores. So if it takes someone a full summer to be able to get 54 holes in, completely fine. They will have a handicap at the end of those 54 holes. And then it is key word that you'll hear throughout this presentation: strong recommendation, not mandated, strong recommendation.
Or strongly recommended.
Strongly recommended, yes. Yes. So for that, it's strongly recommended that initial scores are posted hole by hole. Asterisk next to hole by hole, because that is also very important. And for the reason for that is that it better assesses the potential of a player. And we'll dive more into that hole by hole scenario as we move forward. Yeah. So ability or accessibility of scores. Yeah. So for scores to be acceptable in Virginia World Handicap System, has to be in an authorized format of play. So if you go play a scramble this summer with your best lady friends and you end up shooting a 56, you cannot post that. I'm sorry. Moving on, in the company of at least one other person, I believe this might have been a slight change or anyhow. The other person does not need to be playing. So if you want to bring your husband out, your boyfriend, your brother, your son, girlfriend, whoever it is, you're welcome to bring them out. They can ride in the cart with you. You don't have to play. A dog does not.
You have to play
by the rules of golf, so no rush, this ball is gonna be shot, and you're like, oh, that one's a no fair, but play that, and then put that towards my round, so have to play by the rules of golf. It has to be on a golf course that is rated sloped. And then I believe all courses in Colorado are rated sloped, except for the ones working on that.
Although we've got one down, there's a handful more to go.
Yes. And then the big key here, during an active season. Do we all know when the active season starts?
All right. It's all right.
When does it end? Yes.
Okay, I heard it here first, November 15th, that is correct, it is no longer November 14th, November 15th is the last.
And the main reason for wanting to post during an active season is because if you were to go out and play right now where the fairways are frozen, greens are frozen, lakes are frozen, you're gonna shoot a pretty dangerous score. And you have to roll out on your ball, all those things. So our goal for you during that posting season is that you're playing on the course when it was rated. So it's best able to line up that way.
Oh, that's true.
Alrighty, a maximum handicap index. So this is a new change to the system as well. I believe it used to be 44.
The ladies, it was 40.4.
40.4, so it is now 54 is the new maximum handicap index of clear people. And there's two key principles to this. So it's to increase inclusivity with players. I'm sure some ladies that are beginners at golf are like, oh, I'm not good enough to get a handicap index, so I'm not gonna be able to score or anything like that. So raising that bar up, it really helps being able to include more players as we grow. And then also it makes it easy and possible for golfers to obtain and maintain that handicap index. So keyword on maintain. Yeah.
Okay. All right, you didn't know you were gonna get fish trainings. Okay, so 40 rounds, what do we have so far? So we have a world handicap system that is now here in the US. We have a system being used throughout the world, yes. Okay, we now know that it's inclusive, as it invites people pretty much of any skill type to play and to compete on any golf course, wherever they want, right? Because ultimately the goal of golf is to have fun. Not having fun, probably not gonna wanna be out there, right? So, that's what we have so far. We have our index, we know what our maximum handicap is. Now what do we do with that handicap index? All right, so before our round, we take that handicap index and we decide what tees we play. All right, once we decide what tees we play, in this case, we are playing the new purple tees in common ground. We'll both check those out. It's actually really fun to play them up there. I appreciate it a lot. But anyway, so the first thing you want to do is find your course team. Okay, and what is your course team? Your course handicap is essentially you playing against. This is how many strokes I need to play to par. Right? Does anybody know how often somebody is to place their handicap?
20%.
20% of the time. I can tell who has come to my seminar. Yeah, few teams. And then for those of you who are in 9-hole groups, 9-hole course handicap is determined using half of your handicap index. Okay, along with the 9-hole course and slope rating and the 9-hole bar being played, or upper tees being played. Okay, and again, the goal of USGA and GIN is to make information as accessible as possible. So right now in my pocket, I can look at the course handicap for any tee on any golf course I would like to play, whether that be common ground, a city park down the road, Pebble Beach. I can look anywhere I want to play and figure out what I would need to shoot for my course handicap. Okay. So okay. For those of you who like math, I promise there's not too much math in it. I promise. But we do have a couple of equations in case you ever wanted to know. Course handicap, all it is handicap index times slope of the tees being played divided by 113, which is also known as standard slope. You take that sum and you add it to this bad boy right here, which is new. Your course rating minus par. Okay, and again, all the course handicap is the amount of strokes it takes from that set of tees to play to the par. So let's take a look. We have our stretch golfer here. The one thing I want you to look for is, well, minus this tee here. Most of the time, you will not have the same course handicap on any two tees. And this is a combo tee that just so happens to match with others. But primarily, the harder the tees that you play, based, as defined by the rating and slope of those tees, the more strokes that you will need to play to par, correct? And then, vice versa, the easier the set of tees, the less strokes you will need to play to par. Hence, here I'm actually a minus score of 2 for the black tees at 7,000 yards. But then if I go all the way down and play at 4,900, I actually have to give strokes back to the golf course. So I would actually be a +5. Yeah, so you can see that. So we did have a couple of questions about, a little hesitancy about leagues allowing players to play for 2 separate tees. I fully encourage it, but that is completely up to you and your league to do so. Okay. All right, now let's look at somebody with a 50 handicap, because we all know that there are very few stretch golfers. I am not one of those, in case you're wondering. But we also can see the same trend here. The easier the tee, the lower the course handicap. The harder the tee, the higher the course handicap. Okay. Pretty easy. And then once we do have our course handicap, we can now calculate our target score. Because all the target score is that course handicap number that we just calculated added to par. And what is that number? That target score is essentially says that you will shoot to par if you shoot this number. So one piece of homework for you is before your round next time, try to shoot to your target score. Because if you do, that is that 1 in 5 times that you can shot to your hand. Okay? But as you can see, with target score as well, the harder the tees, the higher the course handicap, therefore, the higher the target score will be. Okay? I see a couple phones out there. I'll keep the slide up for a second. All right. So we have our course handicap, we have our target score set, and hopefully that'll cause some internal competition for us to shoot that score. All right, and then the playing handicap. In 2020, the WHS introduced this terminology to us, which we actually knew before, but it didn't have its own name, right? This used to be called the adjusted course handicap. Now it's playing handicap. And all the playing handicap is your course handicap multiplied by any handicap allowance based on the game that you're playing that day. So 95, 90%, 4-ball match, 4-ball stroke. And just a little segue, if you want to know more about this, please attend one of my seminars. If you don't, feel free to skip it. I won't hold it against you. And the final note here, that different tees are in use. The playing handicap is, and they have different pars. The playing handicap will then be adjusted by the difference in par. That is the only place you'll find that. Okay. And so we see our guy here. In this case, he's a 15 course handicap. He's playing in an event that is making them use 85% of that full handicap, course handicap. So his playing handicap is 13. Okay. Most of the time, the course handicap and the playing handicap will be the same. Okay, I get that question a lot. All right, so here's kind of a cool slide that I created that kind of helps with this, like the difference in course and playing. So a course handicap is used for general recreational play. It is used to determine your target score for the day. And it is also used for our best friend and double bogey, or double bogey plus. Okay, and all the playing handicap is used for is for the game or competition of that day. That's it. So course handicap is the important one, playing handicap, not so much. But the difference between the two, course handicap is you against the course, playing handicap is you against other players. Super easy, straight to the point. Okay, that should help. You against the course versus you against other players. All right, back to Maddie. So now we have our handicap index, we have our, we calculated it based on the tees that we're playing. We have our playing handicap, which in this case is the same as we're playing recreationally. Now, what do we need to know about value, Maddie?
That's a great question. We'll get into that. So, know where you get your strokes. So taking a look here, pop this red bar up. So this is your stroke index, which is on every course. Every course has this. It just rates the course from most difficult to least difficult, kind of. Most difficult, least difficult on a scale from 1 to 18, 1 being most difficult, 18 being least difficult. So taking a look here, Maddie here, I have a two handicap right there. So you'll see I will get a pop on hole 1 and hole 2, one on the front, one on the back. Aaron here, he is a 5 handicap. So he gets 5 pops. 1, 3, 5 on the front, 2 and 4 on the back. Wonderful. Okay, know your maximum hole score. So net double bogey or double bogey plus, as we like to call it. If you happen to struggle on a hole during a casual round, so casual round, not tournament play, you do not have to finish that hole. Woohoo! So, the maximum hole score for any purpose is net double bogey or double bogey plus, as we like to call it. So kind of overviewing what that is. Double bogey plus any handicap scores, any handicap strokes you receive. Is an easy way to remember it and an easy way to explain to your players as well. Because if you throw this at them, they might be like, I don't know what you're talking about, you're talking French. But over here, any handicap strokes you receive, they should see on the scorecard, oh, I get a pop there. so on and so forth. So we will go through that on a scorecard for you really quick, leave it up for a second. Anyone photo ops?
And the key here, casual round, casual round.
But still play by the rules of golf. Lovely, here we go. We are at an event, the 2024 Event Summit. At the Virtual Country Club, it's quite a track if you've never been. Here I am playing. Run through my scores real quick. As you can see here, first hole, par 4, got a par. Way to go, Maddie.
Nailed it.
Second hole, par 3, I got a 4, little bogey in there, it's not gonna kill me. Crap. Par 5, I got a 9. So I'm really just taking me off and shake one into the woods. Here we are. And then number 4, par 4, got a 4. Nice. Number 5, par 4, got another 4. Par 3, bogey again. I really struggle with irons off the tee, so it's something I need to work on. Oh crap. Par 5, got a 9. That really stung. There was a wild, dangerous animal next to me, wasn't sure how to proceed, and I proceeded incorrectly, so it was leaving me on a couple strokes there. As we move forward, par 4, got 2 pars there, so a lot of math up here. I will do the math for you. 46, not bad. So this score, if you score the event, this is my score as I finished my scorecard off leave for the day. This is what I will see populating on GolfGS later that afternoon. But for posting purposes, it's a little different. As we see here, par 4, got a 4 to par, doesn't change. Number 2, par 3, got a bogey, doesn't change. But this par 5 here, it will change. So double bogey of a par 5 is
7.
But I got a pop. So what does that do? Moves it to an 8. Oh, got it one more time. There it goes. Moves it to an 8. So then nothing in the middle changes. Don't have any more blow up holes. Again, yes, wonderful. So the math there for you, 44. That is what I post to Jen, and that is a score used for Jen. A key thing to kind of hit on here, is that, sorry, no, here we go. Is that when you are playing, a lot of ladies like to put 10 as the maximum hole, or like maximum score that players can get on a hole. Some cases, yes, that kind of is valid for here and there, but, really, ladies, all you have to do is once you reach double bogey plus, or net double bogey plus, excuse me, you can pick up and move on to the next hole. So you don't have to write a 10 in there, which is pretty nice, especially because by putting that 10 in there, it can fluctuate your handicap a little bit. So if we're posting by net double bogey, then that is more accurate to your actual handicap there.
Yes.
Okay. So, hole started but not completed. So this is a great thing that I think that we need to be doing more often. Anyway, so when the hole is started but not completed, the score recorded for handicap purposes is the most likely score. That most likely score will go more in depth as to how to kind of calculate that most likely score. As I like to say, this is where gray area likes to get thrown in by the USGA. So most likely score, the number of strokes already taken, plus the number of strokes the player would most likely require to complete the hole. And they give us some guidelines on this portion, so you're not out there willy-nilly 50 yards out, yep, hold it out, move on to the next hole, only got the one. So, and then any penalty strokes incurred.
I need to play with her more often.
So, here we go. If you are 5 feet away from the hole, 1 stroke.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I would love to be 100% from 5 feet.
Oh, here we go. 5 feet to 20 yards. So key area here, 2 to 3 additional strokes, but in both, depending on position of the ball, difficulty of green, and ability of player. I know we'd all love to be Tiger Woods on Sunday and our Sunday red, just, shoot under par, but you need to take into consideration your playing ability, and put down a score that does represent you. Last one, so more than 20 yards from the hole, that's when you do 3 to 4 strokes. Again, in bold, depending on position of ball, difficulty of the green, and player's ability.
I've been for this time. Okay, after your round, so what have we done so far? We have our handicap, we have a course handicap, we know where our pots are, we have played our round, Maddie beat me, even with 2 9s. And now we're ready to post our score, right? Let's see what all happens after a round. If you guys have thumbed through your book, you probably know this, but here we go. So I submit my score, right? You might hear me say this at least 5 times, so I apologize in advance. But please post your score the same day as you. Yeah, please post your score the same day you play, preferably hole by hole. So you don't have to do any math, right? I know about you, but I'm not the biggest fan of math, but I still do it because I have to. All right, and the reason being is because of the PCC, right? If you played on a crappy day or the course was hard for that day, superintendent just had it out with everybody. You can potentially influence the differentials of other golfers, right? And the last key thing with posting your score, not only should you post it as soon as possible, that possible should at least be before midnight that same day, in order for that score to be included in the playing conditions calculation. Okay. All right, we posted our score to Jim. I pulled out my phone, posted that bad boy hole by hole. We are good to go. I don't have to worry about anything else as a player. But if I were the computer, this is what I would do. Okay, first what I would do is I would put this through the PCC. And all the PCC is an algorithm used on back in the gym that all these mathematicians came up with based on the conditions. And what a lot of people don't know is the PCC actually uses that target score and actual score, and they use the difference between the two to determine that threshold. Right, so that's why it's also important. Okay, and so the higher the threshold and the difference between those two, the more likely that you'll get a PCC trigger. Okay. One of the big changes that the USGA has made this year is the frequency of PCC, or that minimum threshold. Who here has gotten a PCC? Who here wants to get a PCC? All right. So you will. You may or may not get one this year because essentially what they want to trigger is they want it to trigger almost twice as much. The goal initially was about 8%. It was only about 6% trigger with all millions of scores posted. So they want to double it to at least 12 to 15%. So just an FYI, if you've never gotten one before, you may or may not get one this year. So it's okay. Automatic process that happens for you. All right. So there's a couple considerations that the PCC takes into account. First one, it's only performed once a day. Second one, it considers all acceptable scores submitted on a course that has an active course rating slope. It requires at least 8 scores submitted by players with a handicap index of 36.0 or below. I guess individuals with 36.1 and above play a little too erratic for the system. So those are going to take into account. And the funny thing that I've seen is usually when players are playing on crappy days, they tend not to post their scores. So if that happens, I apologize in advance, but if nobody posts their scores that day, you may or may not get the benefit of a PCC if you were the only person to finish and post their score. I apologize for everybody else. Okay? Yes, Colorado is in there. Let's see. And so the PCC is actually applied not to the score, but to the score differential, right? Because our handicap index is based on differentials and not the scores themselves. All right. And finally, the PCC includes both 9-hole and 18-hole acceptable scores. Okay. So a little piece of math here for you. I'm sorry in advance. But in case you wanted to know what the score differential equation is, so you can calculate it on your free time, I know I like to do this a lot. It is 113, you've seen this number before, that is also known as standard slope, divided by slope of the t's that you play. You would then take that sum and multiply it by the adjusted gross score, or the net double bogey adjusted score, minus the rating of the teeth that you played, minus any PCC adjustment, right? And then one thing I forgot to mention is PCC can only be 4 numbers, either a -1, most of the time it'll be a 0, +1, +2, +3. -1 means the course was easier than anticipated, so scores were lower. +1, +2, +3 means that the course played a little more difficult, and depending on the difference between everyone, that's what determines if it's a 1, 2, or a 3. All right, here we go. Expected score differential. You will hear this for me moving forward. Not the biggest fan. And the reason being is we don't know what the math is, right? Expected score differential is very similar to the PCC in that it is known by the USGA and their mathematicians, and it happens in the background, right? So for you 9-hole ladies leagues out there, what will happen this year is a 9-hole score, once posted, will be able to directly affect the handicap index immediately after it's postable, after it revises that. And so what you'll see is a 9-hole score, you'll see an 18-hole differential, and then you'll see a little star next to it if it is being used in your handicap index. So this is one of the biggest changes, in my opinion, with the 2024 revision to rules of handicap, okay? And so what the expected score does is it calculates, or the system calculates this for holes not played. So when you post a 9-hole score, you use the 9-hole rating and slope of the teeth played, par, and whatever score you had, and that gives you your score difference holes played. Yes, everybody with me so far? So what will happen then, once that score is posted, the system will actually give you an expected score for the 9 holes not played based on that information. Those two will then add up to one another to give you an 18-hole score differential, which is why it will now be able to affect your handicap. Right, a couple notes here. Before this revision, you had to at least play 7 holes to post a 9-hole score, or 14 holes to post an 18-hole score, yeah? Now you must play 9 holes on a rated 9, okay? Or you cannot post that score. Play 8 holes that day, score cannot be posted. If you play holes 2 through 10 versus 1 through 9, score cannot be posted. So it has to be, you have to play holes 1 through 9 or 10 through 8. Okay? Then don't worry, you can still post that whole score if you want, but it is highly recommended that you post that score hole by hole. All right? And the second thing I want you all to know is the expected score uses individuals of similar handicap indexes, the average of those, as well as a course of standard difficulty to come up with the expected score. All right? A lot of words to tell you that. Unfortunately, the math isn't available. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at what this looks like. What do some of the numbers look like? Well, here's our first example. We have player A, B, and C. They all have different. First piece of information, Maddie, hands up for me. They all play the same course rated slope tees at 35 or at 36.0 and 125, and they shot the exact same score of 42. As we all know, that gave us the same score differential. Because they played the same tee, shot the same score, that would put to the same differential, yeah? Okay. So now, because the expected score differential uses individuals of this handicap index here to calculate it, that is why you'll notice that even though the scores are the same on the front, their 18-hole differentials are different. As you would expect, score differentials for players with a 4 versus a 16 handicap index will be different. So notice player A has a 4 handicap, their 18-hole differential, even though all the front 9 differentials are the same, equates to a differential of 8.7. Player B, handicap index of 10, had an 18-hole score differential of 11.8. And as for player C, 16.0, their 18-hole score differential was 14.9. So you'll notice the higher the handicap, the higher the expected score will be. Okay, so now let's take a look at a second example here. This time, this is when people have the same handicap, okay? 17.1 all the way through. The only difference here is our player C shot a 49. Player A and B shot a 49, which equated, or 47, which equated to an 11.4 differential on the front end for the holes played. Okay? Player C shot a 49, which equated to a 9-hole differential of 13.3. So they all have the same expected score differentials, yeah? Because their handicap indexes are the same. The only thing different here is player C shot a higher 9-hole score. Therefore, that is why their 18-hole differential is higher. Okay? I know it's going to be a lot, but the good thing is this is all done for you, and you don't have to do the math for anything. Okay? Remember that. All right, but like I said, as you now know, this is probably the biggest change that I see. And then the same can be said for holes 10 through 17. Now, in order to post an 18-hole score, you now only need to play 10 holes. And you can post an 18-hole score because the expected score will take over for any holes not played. So in this case, the two parts of the equation will be a score differential will be calculated for holes played, because the system will calculate that for us, and then the system will then calculate the expected score differential for holes not played, add that together, and boom, 18-hole score differential. If you didn't believe in magic, you should today. This is what it is. Okay? One note I want to mention here, which I've got a few calls on and a lot of comments, is when 10 or 17 holes is played and not a full 18, the golfer will be required to post that hole, or to post that score hole by hole. And this is in order for the system to calculate a score differential for the holes played. Again, and if you look at the rules of handicapping, you will not see the USGA mandate that you have to post your scores hole by hole. You will see that it is highly recommended. Okay? But yeah, so that's how that will work. Again, the amount of times that this will happen will be different for everybody. For us here in Colorado, we know about those afternoon storms. In order to avoid having to explain that to somebody, just finish up before it rains, and you'll be good to go. Okay? All right. A couple things here. So now we posted our scores. How do we calculate a handicap index? Well, we don't have to do it personally, but we can. But what the system does is it takes your lowest 8 score differentials, averages those, and you get your handicap index once you post those scores. If you have less than 20 scores, there's a table that I can show you in one of my seminars, shameless plug, that you can learn more about. Okay? And for those of you who are familiar with the app, and what it looks like. And the one thing I want to show you on this slide is, Maddie, that far left column there, every score that has a star next to it equates to a differential that is being used to calculate your handicap index. In case you didn't know that before, or you're new to committees and new to this, just so you know what you're looking at and reading. Again, if you want to know more about this, give Maddie and myself a call, we'll be able to help you. Okay? Okay, the last two things I have for you today is the two safeguards implemented with the introduction of the World Handicap System. The first one is an ESR, or an exceptional score reduction. Who here has got one of these? Don't be, that's okay, I've got one too. That's okay. So all it is you just had a really good day one time, you're feeling good, nothing could affect you that day, that is okay. But because you have now proven that your potential is lower, you will just get dinged a little bit. That's all it is. Just a little bit. So what happens is whenever you post a score that equates to a differential, we believe 7 to 9.9 strokes lower than your current handicap index, you will actually get an ESR adjustment to your differentials, but not only that score, but the previous 19 scores as well. Oh. But that'll definitely directly affect the handicap index the next day, right? And so if somebody posts a score that is 10 or more strokes lower than their handicap index at the time the score is posted, it will get a -2 adjustment. Again, not only to that score, but the previous 19 scores as well. That wasn't as good as the first, but that's okay, I'm all against you. But that will directly influence the handicap. And again, this is an automatic process system. It'll do it all for you, so you don't need to worry about this. You may need to worry about it if you get one, then you might need to talk to handicap chair, they'll come talk to me. Okay, finally, the hard cap, soft cap procedure. Who here has got a cap? Again, no shame, that's okay. The handicap index is designed to fluctuate a little bit, right? So, everybody starts out, they don't play as well as they did, at the end of the season year prior, right? So that's when we usually see the most caps. But that'd be a soft cap, hard cap. But if you want to go into detail about this, we can certainly do that in one of my seminars. But we don't need to. Today, all I really want you all to know about this is 3 things. 1, their hats are cool. 2, hill and a wall. And 3 is the number 3. All right, well, number 1 is self-explanatory. Number 2 is the hill and the wall. The hill is the soft cap. So the hill is a little incline, it's a little harder to get up there, but you can still do it, right? So essentially that's the soft cap. So it's harder to get that handicap index to increase once you get to a certain stroke above your Kern or your low handicap index, right? But you can still do it. And then we have the hard cap. Wall, there we go, a wall. Once you get to your hard cap or 5 strokes above your low handicap index, your current handicap index will no longer be able to move. It'll be stuck there. And the only thing you can do is go down, which hopefully it will, but there are different reasons to be a hard cap minus, you're just not playing so well. And it could be injury, or you just pick the game up again, awesome. And so at that point, what you want to do is talk to your committee and ask them to review your handicap index and modify it. Because they have the power to go in and modify either your low handicap index or your current handicap index to a number that equates to your current playing potential for the while. Okay. Again, if you want to learn more, please attend one of my seminars. If you haven't gotten that already. Yes. And this will only kick in once a player has 20 scores in their score history. Okay. Oh, that was a lot. All right. Now I have some homework for you all. First thing, with this change in the WHS, every single club in our state here of Colorado needs to get recertified in the new WHS. Your homework is to go to whomever will be in charge of that duty and make sure that they know. And if they don't, let them know to give us a call and we will make sure that they find out. Okay?
Email works too.
Yes, and they will most likely be talking to Maddie, and they will be receiving plenty of emails and phone calls. Maddie, she's a beast. She will make sure this test is taken, and I appreciate that a lot. And the second thing I want you ladies to do is to go play golf, have fun, and please, please, please post your sports whole life. That being said, for more, join us at one of our seminars. Have a good one. Yes.
Hello, I have an interruption to your regularly scheduled programming here. First of all, if you were in our match play rules session, I hope the question about how do I post my scores if my match ends early was answered. Are we all good there now? Okay, great. Secondly, I misspoke. I was giving you about making sure that you tell your opponents about penalty strokes that you incur. I gave the example of someone's on the left side of the fairway, you're on the right side of the fairway, okay? I was trying to get the point across that if you do incur a penalty, you have to make sure your opponent knows. However, in doing so, womp womp, I gave you a bad example. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. You all are smarter than me, clearly. I said, if you were searching for your ball and it affects you and you accidentally kicked it, that you would incur a penalty for that in my example. Is that true? No. Thanks. My apologies. You may now resume your regularly scheduled programming, which is going to be told by Hannah.
Kern, Maddie, and everyone enjoyed the presentation. We are going to have lunch at 12:15, but until that time, we have a break, so you're welcome to hang out here, to be able to chat, ask questions, if you have questions about anything that Erin just talked about, come find it. You're also welcome to wander around, we are available to you all, so we will see you in here at 12:15.
You want to hear the answer to this? We have questions for Erin.